as I did.
Good evening. And first at 5, a tow truck operator speaks out about the hit-and-run crash that nearly killed him after he suffered injuries while trying to help someone along I-84 just outside downtown Portland. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. In a bizarre twist, police say the vehicle that hit that tow truck operator was another tow truck. Let's bring in Mike Benner from outside Portland Police Headquarters downtown. Mike, are investigators releasing any specific details about the suspect vehicle?
Yeah, only that they believe it is a Ford model tow truck with one of those wheel lift mechanisms in the back. In other words, it is not a flatbed tow truck. And as far as colors go, detectives just aren't sure. They tell us that they're getting conflicting information. What's not up for debate, though, is how upsetting this has been to the man who was hit and his coworkers.
Physically, I'm fairly beat up.
From his hospital bed, Arthur Walker recalls the hit-and-run crash on I-84 that could very well have killed him.
It's physically hard to move my leg with the amount of swelling and pain.
The 27-year-old Walker is a tow truck operator for Northwestern Towing. Around 6:45 Sunday morning, along I-84 westbound near Cesar Chavez, Walker was prepping a vehicle for tow when he saw another vehicle coming towards him.
Just drifted closer and closer to me until they eventually hit me and threw me out into the lane.
Walker says he mustered up enough strength to move himself to the shoulder as the driver who hit him continued down the interstate.
I don't know what type of person could just leave somebody on the side of the road like that.
James Jerome is the operations manager at Northwestern Towing. He says what makes this crash so troubling is one specific detail about the suspect vehicle. Police say it's a tow truck.
We don't think it was intentional, but you messed up. You made an accident. Own up to it.
Jerome is using this opportunity to remind all drivers to slow down and move over if you see emergency vehicles, including tow trucks, on the side of the road. It is Oregon law, by the way.
We don't want to bury our own. We don't want to bury anybody. We want to continue going home and continue doing what we do.
Arthur Walker will get to do just that, having escaped the crash with only a broken arm and broken leg, among other injuries.
It's not every day that someone in my industry gets half as lucky as I did.
Walker's co-workers have launched a GoFundMe to help raise money for him, and we'll be putting a link to that GoFundMe on our website, KGW.com. In the meantime, if you have any information about this case, you are urged to contact the Portland Police Bureau. Back to you.
Yeah, we appreciate him sharing his story with you, Mike. Thanks, Mike. Let's get to an update this evening on a possible Portland city workers strike later this week. Union representatives tell us both sides are preparing for negotiations tomorrow and Wednesday. Workers rallied over the weekend here outside City Hall. The big issue, pay, specifically a cap on cost of living increases. Now, last week, Portland Mayor Ted Wheeler issued an emergency declaration that allows the city to use emergency money to hire replacements and to reallocate staff. If there is no deal, 600 workers could strike starting on Thursday.
Let's take a live look outside now over downtown Portland from our Wells Fargo sky camera. It is a pretty chilly January day today, thanks to some cold temperatures that rolled in over the weekend. And staying warm in these conditions can be a real challenge for some people. Bryant Clerkley spoke to county officials about where people can stay warm and to firefighters who had to deal with a cold this morning. Bryant joins us now from downtown Portland. Bryant.
Hey, Laurel. Well, Multnomah County will be closing those warming shelters tonight, but Washington and Clackamas counties will be keeping those open. Last night, Multnomah County almost had they were almost full, those warming shelters. 300 people showed up, but just the weather isn't at the threshold to keep those warming shelters open here in Multnomah County. Warming shelters throughout Multnomah County were open and almost at capacity Sunday night. They were 80% filled. Some of the thresholds for Multnomah County keeping warm weather shelters open include forecasted temperatures of 25 degrees or below, an inch or more of snow over a 24-hour period, or freezing temperatures with rain and wind. Even though the weather is warming a bit, some shelters in Washington and Clackamas counties will stay open tonight.
And we know that this is a life-saving service for people experiencing homelessness, to have somewhere to get inside and get warm and have a hot meal. And so we are keeping our shelters open overnight.
And Portland firefighters were also exposed to the elements while working this morning. A fire in a home on North Mississippi in the Albina neighborhood forced 8 people from their home. It happened just before 2 a.m. and the cold made things even more challenging for firefighters.
For as simple as just trying to grab tools, trying to work in the cold. It's anytime you fight a fire, we're going to get pretty wet, and so you're just constantly battling that. We had some challenges. The road was freezing underneath the engine, so as we were trying to work on it, now we're working on a sheet of ice.
And some of the shelters that will be open tonight are that Salvation Army building in Hillsborough and the Beaverton Community Center. Those are both in Washington County. Laurel?
Thank you, Bryant.
All right, let's bring in meteorologist Joe Ranieri now. Joe, when can we expect things to start warming up here?
We got a couple mornings with these bitterly cold temperatures. Today we woke up with temperatures in the upper teens to low 20s. One of the coldest mornings we've seen so far this winter, and definitely the coldest so far this month. I'll get to the temperatures in a second, but I want to take us out to the Oregon coast, where we are seeing a gorgeous sunset tonight over in Newport. Temperature of 49 degrees. Now the coast kind of missed out on all the breezy and cold conditions, although you did wake up to temperatures right around the 20s in a few locations earlier this morning. But this is what it looked like this morning in parts of the metro area. Vancouver 17, Scappoose 19. You throw in that east wind and it was much colder than that. Now we're not going to see that east wind out there basically right now. We're already starting to see the winds really calm down across the metro area and throughout the Columbia River Gorge. Although Troutdale, you're seeing some winds come in from the southwest about 10 miles an hour at this hour. Here's a live look now from our Wells Fargo camera. Temperature of 38 degrees. Yeah, you throw in the windshield there, a little bit about 31 degrees, so a little bit more manageable from what we saw earlier this morning. The weather headlines look like this, though. Winds calm down overnight. Heading into tomorrow, we start off very cold. It won't be as sunny, David and Laurel. The good news is we are going to remain dry over the next few days. I'll let you know we'll be noticing some changes move in by the later part of this week. That's about 10 minutes from now.
We'll see you then. Thank you, Joe. Police in Southern Oregon are still searching for an attempted murder suspect after almost catching him. 36-year-old Benjamin Foster escaped a manhunt in the Grants Pass area last week. He's wanted for kidnapping, attempted murder, and assault after a woman was found bound and severely beaten at a Grants Pass home last Tuesday. The victim is in critical condition. It's believed Foster's using dating apps to get in contact with potential victims. Police also say he's from Southern Oregon and likely had help escaping arrest. Anyone who sees him should call 911. They add that he may have shaved his beard or changed his hair color to alter his appearance.
We have an update tonight on our Uncommitted series as our investigative reporter Evan Watson continues to explore concerning gaps within Oregon's mental health system. Evan is back with us this evening. Evan, this time you're looking into what happens when someone in jail needs behavioral health care, and in this case, it is a mom looking for help for her son.
David, I met with Kristen Benton in Astoria. Her adult son, Kenny, has been in jail for 2 months in need of mental illness treatment in a healthcare facility. But the Oregon State Hospital is full and other options are rare. That's been difficult for Kristen Benton because she's the one who called police to send Kenny to jail. Kenny Benton has weekly court hearings to determine if he's mentally fit enough to assist with his own criminal trial. So far, the answer has been no, and he's been left waiting in jail for a spot at the state hospital. Kristen Benton paid for a doctor to evaluate her son, paid for guardianship, and arranged for Kenny to be moved to Unity Center for Behavioral Health in Portland, but that hasn't worked out either. As her son struggled with worsening mental illness last year, Kristen Benton called crisis workers to her home multiple times to try and get help, but when Kenny refused treatment, they said they couldn't do anything, leading to what Kristen Benton calls a broken system.
For me to have to call the police and have my son arrested, for him to call my name out from the driveway. Mom, coming, Mom. He didn't know what was happening. So, that's what happened. That's what I had to do. Because I have children here, and it was just, I was alone doing it. I'm still a little bit alone here doing it with the court system.
Katie Benton's case is one example of hundreds each month of people who are stuck in jail without options for inpatient mental health care. And you can see frustration about this from all sides, hospitals to judges to lawyers and families. Next at 6 on The Story, I'll share this full report and the newest updates in Kenny's case. David?
Yeah, we appreciate your continued reporting on this important issue. Thank you, Evan.